and I was like, oh my God, my life's over. I'm not going to teachers college.
I wanted to improve my application, so I did a lot more volunteer work with my local high school.
Was able to get enrolled in this school in Alberta.
Coached the boys and the girls basketball team.
I did the whole course in a month, and it was supposed to be a 6-month course.
My practicum was great. I had a great AT. The kids were great. I had a great 7-8 class.
Wait, you guys had a practicum?
Welcome back to Keeping Up with Consecutives. Today we're joined by two guests. Who do we have today?
Paige.
Alex.
More people from the consecutive education program, hoping we can talk a little bit about the admission stories, as I've heard some leaks and some rumors that these guys might have dramatic admission stories for us. How's the week been?
It's been a slow week. Especially having class yesterday on Easter Monday. It was rough to come back to school.
Yeah, we're in week 9 of 12. We got 3 more weeks to go. We're basically almost at the end. But yeah.
We're almost done. We're in the final stretch. Just want to get it over with.
So we're at the final stretch, but let's rewind all the way back to when you guys applied to the Teachers College programs. Where did you apply to? Was it just Brock or was it other places? Paige, you got anything?
I applied to Brock as my first choice, but I also applied to other places to be safe, just in case I didn't get in. So I applied to Western, Nipissing, and then Laurier, Brantford for PJ though. And then finally I applied to Lakehead in Barrie because I just spiraled and thought I'm not getting in, and I knew I would get in there, as I've heard it's that's a pretty 100% admission rate. So I just kind of spiraled one day and applied there too for PJ, but obviously that wasn't necessary.
Awesome. I have to correct you right away. It is in Aurelia, because I'm from Aurelia, and Lakehead is in Aurelia.
Sorry,
Barrie
my
is a
bad.
completely different place.
But actually, Barrie is right beside Aurelia, and they go to the same high school.
Okay, close enough. Anyways, Alex, you applied to Brock. Where else did you apply?
The same mindset. I wanted to, again, apply to a lot of places just in case I didn't get into some of the schools, but I applied to York, Trent, Ontario Tech, and Brock. I got into Ontario Tech and Brock. I'm here now.
Getting into these admission stories, you apply, I believe, in October, November of the year before. I believe admissions were due sometime in December.
Yeah.
In December, and then we heard about the acceptances sometime in February. I believe it was the first day of February. I think it was February 1st or 2nd. I was up till 11:59 refreshing the page. Let's hear about your guys' the night you got admitted. How were you feeling? Let's give a visual of how it went.
Well, so I wasn't up till 11:59. I didn't know that Brock's was coming back because I didn't get an email. So I just had to check on my Brock U student account. So I was on there and I was on the phone with my mom anyways, and I was talking to her and I was like, oh, I got, the letter back. And she was like, oh, did you get it? And I was like, I don't know. I'm scared to open it. So it's just a little drop down menu. I dropped it down and it said, congratulations, you're accepted. And then I was just so happy. I was like, wow, because I really thought that this is a school I'm not going to get into just based on people saying how hard it is. But I did it and I didn't get into the other schools for JI. So I was really worried about now I would have to go down to PJ and then work on other credits. But now it's oh wow, and I was so excited, and I was texting everybody. It's I got in. I don't know how, but I did.
Yeah. Brock isn't necessarily a safe school. It's not necessarily a safe backup choice. It's more so a risky choice that's hard to get into, I find. I think it was she said it was a very low percentage of consecutives got in compared to the total applicant number. And yeah, glad to be here. Alex, you got anything to...
Yeah, I'm one of those people where I need to know as soon as it comes out. So I think it was I knew the exact date. I knew it was at 11:59. Refreshing the page, saw that I got in, was extremely happy. But again, it was 12 at night. Couldn't text anybody, couldn't talk to anybody about it. So I was kind of just in my room. Couldn't go to sleep after because I was just really excited. So I was just, yeah.
I've heard some rumors about some dramatic stories after that point, because I believe you had to accept it by a specific end date. I don't remember what it was, maybe a month or two after that. But any problems? Did we experience any problems after that? I just hit accept and then they let me go, but I heard there might have been some problems later on.
Yes, so I did. I accepted it very quickly. And at this point, though, I was still finishing up my undergrad at McMaster. And I was taking social psychology, but I applied for a teachable in math. And since math had nothing to do with the social psychology degree, it was tough for me to get into math courses at Mac because you can only take the credits if you're in that specific degree. And so it was hard for me to find a way around taking it. So I've taken a bunch so that I'm in my last semester, and I'm taking an engineering math course because those were the only ones that were open to everybody. And that was really hard, and I had no idea. It was like calculus, but like times 1,000. I had a tutor. I was trying my best. I was like, I just needed one more credit and I'll be okay, because you just had to have an average of a 70% for your teachable subject. So I knew, okay, I got a 12 in all my other math courses. So I thought, okay, no way. Why am I failing this one? Why am I struggling so hard in this course? So end of the day, school's over. I did my math exam and I failed the course. I was actually sitting in Greece with my cousin because we were going on a end of year like grad trip together, and I got her to open it for me, and she was like, oh, it says F, and I was like, oh my God, my life's over. I'm not going to teachers college. I don't know what I'm gonna do. I already accepted it. What can I do? And I'm not even in the country, so I don't even have access to my emails or anything because I had to change my SIM card. So my mom emailed the prof at Mac for me on my account just to say like, hey, any way you could round this up to a 50, because I got a 46. He was like, basically like, couldn't care less, no. I was like, I'm not trying to be an engineer, I just want to be a teacher. But yeah, so then I got back and I was contacting Brock and I was like, okay, I failed this math course, what can I do? They said, oh, well, you have to complete all your requirements, right? Like you get an offer based on a condition that you graduate, you have that certain average, and obviously I had to complete that final math credit I needed. So I'm calling, I'm emailing, I'm getting mixed responses. Some admin told me, okay, yeah, you could, as long as I got my degree, because it didn't have anything to do with my degree. I still graduated, I just didn't have that credit.
It was like a bonus credit, basically.
Yeah, it didn't even come up on my transcript because it had literally nothing to do with my degree. So then finally they were like, okay, I think it was sometime in May, like the beginning of May, they were like, okay, fine, you can take a spring course. But spring registration had already passed for most courses, so I was able to get enrolled in this school in Alberta that was online for a math course. I took just this random calculus course on this Athabasca University. If you
I've
ever
heard about that.
need an easy credit to get it. But I enrolled in this school the very last day possible to start on June 1st because Brock gave me till July 5th that I had to complete the course. But this course was a 6-month course. So I got laid off work. So I was like, okay, 2 weeks. I grinded out the whole course in a month. I wrote the midterm. I booked the midterm. Like even the midterms and exams were like a video call with like someone. I booked the midterm. I booked the exam. I did the whole course in like a month, and it was supposed to be a 6-month course, and I completed it. And I got a 12, and I sent that to Brock, and I was like, here you go. I have my final course, and then I'm here.
That is a journey.
Yeah, and like most people would have given up because, they would have been like, oh, well, I didn't get in, and I failed. I guess there's nothing I can do. I guess I'm not going. But I just could not take that as an answer. I knew this is what I wanted to do. I needed to be there. I just didn't want to take a year off. So I did everything I could to, convince people to be like, I need to do this. I just need to enroll in this course. I'm like just frantically trying to find a course to enroll in spring. I tried to go back to McMaster and they were like, no, spring registration's over. So I found this and I did it, and even just completing the course in less than a month, pretty much. Like I chose the course because it was just like material that I knew. So I knew I could do it. It's just putting the work in. So I think like if you put the work in, you'll be able to do anything. And I did.
That is like climbing Mount Everest. That was very inspiring. Paige said she wanted to talk about stuff. I knew there was something she had to get off her chest there.
Yeah, it's been really holding me in all the time.
Good to let it out at on a
Because
on
when
a
people
podcast,
say like
yeah.
congratulations, you know, they always tell you like, oh, it's amazing that you're here, and I really take that personally. I'm like, I know, like I am here because I got myself here, and I worked so hard to be here, and I like, yes, I am here.
Thank you for sharing, Paige. That was incredible, honestly. Hopefully it's inspiring to some people that are on the, I don't know, have in a similar situation. Because, yeah, that's probably what separates a successful applicant from, like, someone who never takes on teaching in their life because of one obstacle. So.
Yeah, so it's like one thing is coming and it may not seem like it's going the way you want it to, then just do everything you can to get back to where you want to be.
Alex, do you have anything?
It's not going to top that one, but
It's all right.
so initially I applied back in 2021, got waitlisted at Brock, and then I deferred my acceptance for a year. Life got in the way, I couldn't go, so then I had to apply again in 2023. And then, but before I did that, I wanted to improve my application, so I did a lot more volunteer work. I went to my local high school, spent a lot of time in there, really boosted my application, and then the next time I applied, I got in directly. So after that, things were smooth.
It was lucky that you applied this year. Was there any chance you would have deferred again to like next year or something? Because if you had if you had deferred from this year to next year, they would not have even cared about your high school experience. They would have only cared about a Casper score.
Yeah, I heard they changed the application, make it a little more difficult. So yeah, I was very lucky to get in this past year.
Yeah, kind of worked out.
I did take the Casper test for a different school.
For a teacher's program or a different program?
Yeah, teacher's program at Western.
Yes, I believe Western. What's Western's weightage on that? If I have it, I'll put it on the screen. But
Oh, it's 50-50 based on Casper
50-50?
and
Okay.
grades, which
Yeah.
I think is crazy because now Brock's doing that as well. But I think like the experience that I had to put down for Brock, like they do 50-50 experience, 50-50 grades. I feel like that's better than Casper because I did do well on the Casper. I got in the 4th percentile, but I still didn't get into Western, so I guess it didn't matter.
yeah.
Yeah, the only other school I got into was Ontario Tech, and that was strictly grades. Nothing else. It was just submit your grades, and then that's it. No experience profile, no references. That was it.
Yeah, I applied to Nipissing, Brock, and York. York was, I believe, 50-50 experiential versus marks, and I didn't get into that one. And then Brock, it was 70% marks, 30% experience, got into there, obviously. And then Nipissing, I just got in based off marks. So that was a smooth ride, but yeah. So talking about the practicum a little bit, a lot of teacher candidates have talked about their classes. Alex, how was your practicum?
My practicum was great. I had a great AT. The kids were great. I had a great 7-8 class. And I think the highlight for me was I got to coach a basketball team. So I really got to bond with the kids there, make good connections and relationships. So overall, it was a great experience. And for me, it was probably like the most I've learned because, again, being in the classroom, it's great. You learn so much about what it takes to be a teacher and how to go through that process. So for me, yeah, it was the best experience.
How did you feel at week 8 of that practicum? Were you begging to go back to classes a little bit? Obviously practicum is the best experience, but 8 weeks of practicum, especially our first practicum, I found I was basically like almost a zombie by the end of it.
Yeah, I was a little burnt out because it is a lot of work. Because that's what you're going to do, a lot of lesson planning, going to be creating a lot of materials. You got a lot on your plate, but for me, I enjoyed it, so I really wanted to stay there. I wish it was longer, but yeah, it was. Again, overall, it was great, so I had no complaints. But yeah, a little burnt out, but I would have liked to stay a little longer.
Glad to hear some positive experiences, and we have 2 more in second year, so hopefully those ones will be even better. Paige, how was your practicum experience, if there was one?
I didn't have one. I did not do one.
You didn't have a practicum?
I had a full January, February, most of December off of school. I was just hanging at home, doing nothing.
Chilling at Athabasca University in Alberta.
No, I'm just kidding. I wasn't doing nothing, but yeah, I didn't have a practicum because I had a trip planned before school started and paid for, and I talked to my practicum advisors about it, and I said like, hey, like, it's a wedding for my friend. How should I go about this? She said, well, you can't miss, a week of practicum, so you'd have to go talk to them, and they told me my options. They said, you could just not go on your trip and go to Practicum, or you could defer it to the spring. And they did make me feel make me feel comfortable about it. They were like, people do defer if they're just not ready, or like any other reasons. Like, it's not like a bad thing. So I felt a bit better by like not doing it. So I did go. I had to talk to the admin, and they said, okay, yeah, we'll have to defer it for you. No big deal. And it was a pretty smooth process, other than the fact when you email the Practicum office, they don't answer. So
Nope.
It took a while for me to get to the point of feeling calm. There was a while where I was like, I don't know what I'm doing. I just don't know, because no one's responding. But once I went and saw them in person, great chat, just was like, okay. So I unenrolled in the Practicum course, and
You're taking it at the end of
yeah,
May,
so I
believe?
just re-enrolled in it now, and so I'll be starting that on May 20th until the end of the year.
Yeah, because a lot of things in this program seem to be like extremely structured and like rigid and like
Yeah.
unchangeable, such as like where your placement is at, where your like, I don't know, your class schedule as well. Some people who might be on like sport teams, for example, might get it changed around. Like, they present it to you with, there's no way we're changing any of this. It's all set in stone. But in this program, I find, at least, if you, from a lot of secondhand experiences I've heard of, if you just talk to them, have a conversation, they'll try to find
Yeah.
what's best for you here.
It takes a lot of talking and a lot of like, figuring out. Like, it wasn't like a very like black and white situation. It was like I was talking to them, I was talking to the admin, I was talking to the Practicum office, I was talking to everybody, trying to figure out like, what am I gonna do, because I was like, I can't not go on the trip and like lose all that money, because I paid for it already. So I was like, I just don't know what to do. And obviously, like, I told them I'd be there. I don't want to, kind of leave them hanging like on a wedding. Like, it's a big day, and like, of course I want to be there. So like, it's kind of hard when you get mixed into like life versus school, and but at least I was able to enroll in it now, and that was an option. But yeah, I feel like it's definitely not something that they're telling you at the first place. There was that very first day of class where we had to go to that lecture, and they basically told you like, you can't miss time, you can't miss class, you can't miss your practicum, you can't do this, you can't do that. But obviously, if you just have a conversation with them, there's ways that you can do something.
Yeah, they made it pretty clear that this is a professional program and that like attendance is mandatory. You have to be there. We're not really going to let many excuses go by. But again, if you talk to your professors and you talk to the right people, usually they're pretty accommodating. So
Yeah, I feel like they just say that so they don't have, quite frankly, 50 other people saying they're going to their friend's vacation and that kind of situations. But yeah, they were
I
pretty,
get that.
from what I can tell, they seem to be, they just do that to kind of weed away the ones that will just go along with it instead of actively trying to, like, I don't know, go against it, I guess.
Yeah.
But
Yeah, and it sucks too, because I'm gonna have a lot less weeks in practicum than everyone else got. I'm only gonna have 6 weeks, which is less than if I just missed a week. So for that, it's like frustrating for me that I'm, I can't get my OCT certificate because I don't have enough hours that everyone else had. Which is fine. It's obviously decisions that I decided for myself. I had to do that, but it's just like so many factors of deciding like, okay, what are you gonna do? And then I also didn't realize that to enroll in the spring, even though I paid for the practicum course in the fall, but I guess I don't know what really happens with that. And then for spring registration, they charged me another $800 to do my practicum, so that's tough.
yeah, so what I heard is that I don't know if it's like this at other schools, but Brock extended their first year placement to 8 weeks instead of 6 because once we have those hours, then we can get our transitional certificate. So that's why right now we're still in school until May, in the middle of May, because when we finish this year, we can get our transitional certificate to start teaching.
yeah, which is where you can teach in a classroom. If your teacher is away, you can be the supply teacher for your classroom and you get paid for it. I believe they cover up to 20 days of that, but there's lots of risk because I believe you're not covered by insurance and all that, but you just gotta pray nothing goes wrong.
Yeah, I feel like they just don't really give us a lot of information on anything of that sort. Like,
Yeah,
it'd
you
be
gotta dig
important
for
to
it.
know. But yeah, like, you gotta dig, you gotta talk to like everybody before you can finally be like, oh, okay, because they just kind of put in your head like, this is how it is, and there's just no change. But there's ways, and
There's
they can
some leeway
accommodate
if you dig for it.
Yeah, there's accommodations for
Yeah.
sure. But
Is there any other topics we'd like to, I guess, discuss in this?
I mean, yeah, the community is great. Like, it's very different from your undergrad, or at least in my experience. Like, the classroom, like, you pretty much know everybody in your classrooms. Everyone's talking to each other. It's much, much closer compared to, like, when you're in your undergrad, you're sitting in a lecture hall with 300 people. Like, you'll typically be with the same students, the same people, your same cohort, I should say. And yeah, it's very nice, very friendly, very welcoming environment.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Paige, you got anything to say about the community?
Yeah, I would agree with that. I think, like, yeah, in undergrad, you know, you go to lecture, you don't know anybody, you're not comfortable talking up in class. Where here, it's like, it's just an environment that you feel comfortable. I was never really a person to raise my hand in class. Some classes I don't, and some classes I do, because it just feels more comfortable, even though it's mostly the same people. So it really, I think it has to do with, like, the teacher. But yeah, I think it's awesome too, like, how we just know everybody, and like, you just meet a lot of friends, and it's nice that we all get to, like, stick together and do it all together.
Yeah, like in my cohort class, we went bowling the other week. Someone in our class organized it.
Really jealous.
Yeah, we all got together. We had a nice outing. So yeah, stuff like that was very different in comparison to my undergrad. So a lot closer.
Even this year we have one person who's like organizing like nights out and stuff like that. So I don't know, any future years, feel free to plan it out. People seem to be engaged and want to do it. So who would have thought teachers are social people that want to connect with other teachers? Who would have ever guessed?
Yeah.
All right, Alex, what's something funny that happened to you during the practicum?
Yeah, so like I said before, I coached the boys and the girls basketball team. And basically their tournament was going to be at the end, like when my placement was finished. So I told them, I'm like, hey guys, boys and girls, I might not be able to come because, like, I have classes, you know, sometimes they're mandatory and I can't miss them. And all the boys got around me. They're like, no, Mr. C, you have to come. And like, you know what we're going to do, Mr. C? We're going to put the ball in the middle of the court for 30 seconds in your honor when you're not there. And I was just like, oh, I'm like, that's so sweet. I'm like, you don't have to do that. But then I ended up, I didn't have class that day, so I was able to go to the tournament and surprise them, and they were really happy. So that was a really bright point in Practicum for me.
I had a similar kind of thing where the tournament was at Brock. So after one of my classes, I just hopped down, said hi to all of them, and then they did pretty good in the tournament. So it was nice to connect with them.
Yeah, we lost in the semis by 2.
Woof.
Yeah, it was kind of my fault. We I didn't read the rules. We 10 seconds left. We got the ball. I'm screaming at the ref to call a timeout, but apparently in elementary school basketball you can't call a timeout. It's got to be on a whistle. So we lost the game by 2. So boys were disappointed, but it was still a good time.
All right, to kind of close it out, a lot of focus this semester of classes was mental health. During classes or during practicum, have you been doing anything to cope with the potential stresses of classes and or dealing with 30 kids every day? Any sports teams perhaps that you joined on an ice rink?
I joined the figure skating team. But I mean, honestly though, well, for me, I guess joining the skating team, like, that's what I do. So being able to skate like 3-4 days a week just kept me active. So I feel like that was just helpful with my mental health for class, because I was, well, maybe not Tuesdays, because Monday night I skated till midnight and we had class at 8 a.m. So those were tough days, but it's over now. So I'm better now, but it was tough to get there after a late night practice, but which probably wasn't the best for my mental health that day, but
overall skating has benefited.
I think, yeah, skating definitely benefited. Just my balance too. Like, I met more people like outside of our program. I was able to stay active and healthy and do something that I love. So it was nice.
Yeah, for me it was just getting out of the house, especially during practicum. Like, you go home, and even sometimes you have to plan after class because that's just the reality of things. But just doing things I enjoyed and just getting out of the house. I like to play pool, so usually go to a pool hall for a couple hours and just kind of take my mind off things.
I would absolutely dominate elders in pickleball. That was my favorite thing to do. But yeah, that about wraps up the mental health questions, the practicum questions. I'll do one more bonus one. Which Shrek character do you relate to the most, and why, Paige?
Donkey.
Donkey?
Yeah.
Do you want to elaborate or no?
I feel like I'm very like I just want to like be with people. I want to be with my friends. Like, you know, I want to be close to you. So like Donkey, I feel like it's like pretty, like, not like, I wouldn't say I'm clingy, but I'm just want to be with the people I care about.
This supercut trailer is gonna be amazing. You guys at a practicum? I'm not clingy. Alex, which Shrek character do you relate to the most and why?
That's a great question. I don't know. Maybe I'd probably say similar to Paige, maybe Donkey, more nice and
He's
fun.
clingy.
He's
What?
He's clingy.
Well, yeah, I don't know. It's I think I have to watch Shrek again and watch again, see which character I most like. But yeah, I would say Donkey.
I relate to Puss in Boots, I believe, because I'm like bouncing off the walls in the classroom, doing shenanigans, seeing what people are doing on their e-reader or their iPad, just yapping about, recruiting for the podcast. But yeah, that about wraps it up. Thanks for watching another episode, Keeping Up with Consecutives. Thank you, Alex and Paige, for being
Thanks
the
for having
MVPs.
us.
Yes, I'm so happy to be here.
Thanks for being here. That's about it. See ya.
Wow.
W.